Coming up on the Charge on Air, a UCF coffee shop staple is relocating.
A No Pulse Museum founder is suing the city of Orlando.
And the LGBTQ+ community came together to honor Trans Day of Remembrance.
In sports, men's soccer took home the Sun Belt Conference Championship.
The Charge on Air starts now. Good afternoon and welcome to the Charge on Air. I'm Melenny Gallardo.
And I'm Victoria Pera. Today is Friday, November 21st, 2025.
On October 25th, Austin's Coffee had one last dance party before closing their doors to their original location. Charge on Air reporter Brianna Valderrama is at the scene now. Tell us more, Brianna.
Thank you, Melenny, so much. I'm at the new Austin's Coffee location where less than a month ago, they were forced to move their locations due to a traffic reconstruction project. I got the chance to talk to community members about how they feel about this change and what they're doing moving forward. Take a look.
For over 20 years, students, Winter Park locals, and artists have come to Austin's Coffee as a place to enjoy and perform art. While the physical space may not look too big, it had a huge impact to the hearts of many. Even though the space was treasured, the long-running debate over Austin's potential shutdown ended when the city of Winter Park purchased the land for a traffic relief redevelopment project. But even with the original location now closed, Austin's is relocating just 4 minutes down the road. Sophomore media production management major Mateo Martins, a performer with his band at Austin's, explains his thoughts on the relocation.
I think it already means more to people, you know, so it doesn't really matter if it moves or if it stays here or goes anywhere. Like, Austin's is a part of every band's, every comedian, every band, every singer-songwriter, like, it's in their DNA.
Giving the old location a final send-off, Austin staff hosted a Halloween EDM party for the community to enjoy the space for the last time.
I'm outside of Austin's Coffee, where a lot of people have gathered to celebrate the last night at this location, a location that has been open for over 20 years and has been a staple for Winter Park.
Now located on 2240 West Fairbanks Avenue and across the street from Hunger Street Tacos, employee Natasha Todorova talks about how this move can boost business.
You know, our customer base is going to go to them and theirs is going to go to us. I think there's going to be a lot of new community, new familiarity, like, oh, I've seen you yesterday, what's up? You know, that kind of vibe, I would say.
The Austin's Coffee team has been posting to their socials showing the work they're doing to preserve as much history as possible from the beloved 929. Even with the new relocation, the value to preserve Austin's for all that it is goes to show that a space is more than its walls. In Orlando, Brianna Valderrama, The Charge on Air.
While the new location may not be opening its doors just yet, the staff is doing everything they can to make sure that they're opening their doors again and bringing Austin to Winter Park. Back to you guys at the desk.
Thank you so much, Brianna. On June 12th, 2016, Orlando faced one of the most devastating tragedies in mass shooting history at Pulse nightclub. Almost 10 years later, victims' families are continuing to demand answers from the Orlando Police Department. Charge on Air reporter Casey Stone tells us more.
3 years after the 2016 Pulse nightclub shooting, Dr. Zachary Blair co-founded the No Pulse Museum Coalition to fight for a proper green space memorial for the 49 victims. But public record requests from the city led the coalition to find discrepancies between what police officials said happened the night of the shooting and the official records. Now, Blair is suing the city for transparency after being denied the unredacted active shooting protocols from 2016.
It's not always the crime, it's the cover-up. That's the crime. And not releasing these records and lying to the public and gaslighting the public. And we can't have accountability until we get the facts.
The city cited Florida Statute 119.071 and a Miami appellate court ruling, arguing the redacted records count as security-related operational plans that remain exempt from public release.
Behind me is where the first officer on scene saw the gunman and radioed for backup. But it wouldn't be until 2:09 a.m., 8 minutes after gunfire started, before officers would even enter the building.
Uvalde High graduate Dr. Jeffrey Badger looked into the Orlando Police Department's response and found that the OPD's 2015 active shooter lesson plan states that the typical active shooter incident lasts approximately 5 to 10 minutes. Several officers were awarded for their response, and OPD Police Chief John Mina described their actions as heroic and courageous. Badger says that Mina was a master in media manipulation when it came to controlling the narrative behind Pulse.
They said the officers chased the gunman through the building. No, that's not true. The gunman was already in the bathroom when they entered the building. They said the officers forced the gunman to stop shooting. No, his AR-15 jammed. It wasn't just he got a few facts wrong. He just made stuff up.
Badger's research, which is referenced in the lawsuit, is published on his website, thepulseshooting.com. In Orlando, Casey Stone, The Charge on Air.
Blair says the case is expected to be heard in 2027, though the date could be moved up since the suit is in the public's interest.
Transgender Day of Remembrance was observed last night in the Pegasus Ballroom, bringing students and community members together to honor lives lost. The event also invited attendees to share their hopes for the future of the LGBTQ+ community. I spoke with attendees to hear their thoughts on the event.
The Transgender Day of Remembrance was held last night by LGBTQ+ Services and the Lavender Council. The event honored members of the community who have passed as young as 15. Speakers Milan Williams, Toby Smith, and Beck DeTrem shared reflections of resilience and the future of the LGBTQ+ community. Attendees contributed photos to a community vision board, answering the question, what do you hope the LGBTQ+ community will look like in 20 years? Xander Janander, a UCF social media work major and event lead, said the event aimed to bring the campus community together.
My main goal with this event was to bring the trans and LGBTQ+ community together on campus, and also to allow students to learn about different resources, both on campus and in the central area.
Janander said when choosing speakers, he picked Active Minds to highlight mental health. He also chose Basically Wonderful to support disabled LGBTQ+ individuals, and Divas in Dialogue to amplify the voices of trans women. Toby Smith, a UCF senior psychology major and president of Active Minds, shared why honoring Transgender Day of Remembrance is meaningful to him.
There has been so much progress, and that I owe a lot to the trans people who came before me, the trans people who never got to have the same opportunities that I did because they unfortunately died early due to hate.
Smith said that events like this show students that their universities care about them, that they are safe, and that they are seen, a message he called very powerful. In Orlando, Melenny Gallardo, Charge on Air.
Janander hopes the event helps students feel a sense of community and know that they have support on campus. All these orgs are hosting big events like Break Isn't Right around the corner. Meanwhile, I'm just here daydreaming about Thanksgiving perfect weather.
Girl, break is still 5 days away. I need to know what this weekend is going to look like. Camila, give us the update.
Well, ladies, Thanksgiving might not be here yet, but the forecast is already cooking. Let's go take a look at our current conditions. So right now we're currently at 76 degrees with a humidity of 65%, and the winds are moving southeast at 1 mile per hour, and luckily there's a 0 chance of rain. All right, ladies, back to you.
Thanks, Camila. Coming up, the 6-7 phenomenon is changing generations and educational environments.
Plus, we learn about the new melanoma RSO at UCF.
Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back.
Being a cowboy, I don't know anything different from when I was 3 or 4 years old. I did tough things. I thought everybody needed to do tough things, and if you didn't, I didn't have time for it. I had a very successful career at a very young age, and life was fast. I was preparing physically. I wasn't doing anything mentally on the inside. And then I got hurt. I wanted to be better as a person, and I really dug into mental health. I start my day with 20-minute workouts. I live life 8 seconds at a time. Horses are so therapeutic. They know what you're feeling. When you're nervous, they're nervous. He won't say it back, but we're pals. I take a lot of responsibility in taking care of my kids, my family, and being there for them. You're gonna have tough days. Everybody does. Find a place to stop and just breathe. Love your mind.
Love is a lesson that doesn't end. It knows no conditions, so you better buckle in. Love keeps you on your toes. It never stops, only grows. Love isn't easy. It's a commitment, especially when they're being their most resistant. Love is being prepared for the journey ahead. Love doesn't let any concerns go unsaid. Love is finding the right seat so you can take a breath. But remember, love isn't lax. It always double checks. Check that your kids are in the right seat at nhtsa.gov/the right seat. Love protects.
A new number has suddenly become the newest trend among the younger generation. The expression 6'7" has become so popular it has gained recognition from dictionary.com. Charge on Air reporter Stephen Brown tells us more about how it's affecting some classrooms.
Walk into the door, it's the greeting that they give you is just good morning 6'7".
The words or numbers that are taking over classrooms and college basketball arenas across the country. 6'7" was named Word of the Year by Dictionary.com earlier this month, and it has seen an exponential increase in usage starting in August of this year. Just recently, Oklahoma State women's basketball head coach J.C. Hoyt called a timeout to celebrate her team reaching 67 points. Dr. Beth Rapp-Young is an English professor at UCF. She says 6'7" serves a purpose for now, but won't stick around forever.
I can tell you that the purpose of something like 6'7" is the purpose of all slang, which is to signal who's in the group and who's out of the group. And a word that lasts a long time, it's usually going to be a word that means something that's important and that will stick around for a while. So I would say 6'7" is going to have a fairly short shelf life.
I'm standing outside the Teaching Academy here at UCF where students are preparing to lead classrooms in the future. And while 6'7" might not be around forever, one student with substitute experience has had to find a creative way to handle its use in the classroom. Ashley Nordham is a senior art education major at UCF who substitutes at elementary schools in Central Florida. She says she has had to find a balance to the use of the word in the classroom. Otherwise, it can be too distracting.
But you can be funny about it, and now I do callbacks, so when I need to get the class's attention, I'll say 4-5, and then they get to say 6'7", and they think it's the coolest thing ever. So as long as you play around with it and not get upset about it, like, you should be okay.
Both Dr. Young and Nordham think 6'7" is just another trend that will fade away with time. In Orlando, Stephen Brown, The Charge on Air.
Dr. Young says now that more people know what 6'7" is, the joke will soon be over.
A new club at UCF is bringing awareness to melanoma. The Melanoma Awareness Association held their first in-person event of the semester yesterday night in the Student Union. In collaboration with the UCF's Derma Glow Club, both organizations hosted the UV bead keychain making event, which served as a creative way to teach students about sun safety. Attendees sat around a table in Student Union Room 225, full of supplies like yarn and UV beads as they began to create keychains and bracelets that can change color in the sun. Amanda Jayakoti, junior biology major and vice president of the club, explains why bringing awareness to melanoma is so important.
So I researched more into it, and I realized how very little awareness we have in the state of Florida as a whole, which is crazy because the amount of sun exposure we get on our UV levels are so high. Outdoor sports that we have, like a lot of people aren't aware like how important it is to put on sunscreen, how important it is to get your skin tested by a dermatologist checkups.
This association is hoping to expand their community and host more in-person meetings next semester.
On Wednesday night, the UCF League of Women Voters collaborated with Sunrise Movement Orlando to host a Sip for Solidarity event at the Drunken Monkey Coffee Bar. With drinks in hand, local organizations, students, and Orlando locals filled the coffee shop to listen to local organizers talk about how workers' rights are fighting for fair wages and a livable future. The event also featured a free screening of the film Partners, a documentary about Starbucks baristas who took on the company and helped spark the Gen Z labor revival. As the evening came to a close, event goers got to learn about the importance of labor unions.
I don't know about you, Victoria, but I am debating which outfit I should wear next week.
I know, Melenny. I'm deciding if I should wear my favorite blue sweater for Thanksgiving or not.
After this break, we'll see if this perfect weather will be sticking around. Don't go anywhere, we'll be right back.
The impact of a meal goes well beyond feeding our bodies. Food can open endless possibilities for people to thrive. Because when people are fed, futures are nourished. Everyone deserves to live a full life. And with your help, together we can end hunger. Join the movement at feedingamerica.org/actnow.
Let's check in with student meteorologist Brianne Weathers from Embry-Riddle Aeronautical University for a look at the national forecast.
Well, this weekend is going to be the start of some of those Thanksgiving travel plans. So let's look at some areas that may be of concern within our weather. We have this low pressure system that's really going to be dragging in that rain all the way through tonight and even tomorrow morning. And this rain is going to be pretty significant. We have 1 to 2 inches in most areas, but even these areas of light green, we have almost 4 inches of rainfall. So flash flooding is definitely going to be a concern here. So be sure that you have your source of weather information ready so you know if a flash flood may be called. Over in the northeast, the same system is going to be bringing in snow and rain all throughout this region. And we actually have another system over here in the southwest that's going to be bringing in rain and mountain snow. So that is something to be aware of. And that system is going to be bringing in colder than average temperatures in the southwest and warmer than average temperatures up here in the north and in the southeast. And with that, on your local weather, I'm going to bring it back to my friends at UCF.
It's been an interesting weather this week with cold mornings and sunny afternoons.
I know, it can be pretty wicked sometimes.
Let's check in with student reporter Camila Escobar to see the temperatures for the holidays.
All right, thank you, ladies. And just like our good friend Glinda says, let us be glad and let us be grateful that the temperatures are finally dropping. Let's go take a look at the state throughout Florida. So we're starting in Gainesville with 75 degrees and in Palm Coast at 75 degrees. And lower down in Leesburg, we have 74 degrees. And in downtown Orlando, our home, we have 76 degrees. And in Winter Haven and Melbourne, 76 and 75 degrees. And then lower in Tampa, we have 77 degrees. Let's go take a look at our 5-day forecast. So starting on Saturday, we have a high of 82 and a low of 60 and a 0% chance of rain for the whole week. And Sunday, we have a high of 80 degrees and a low of 63 degrees. And on Monday, we have a high of 80 degrees with a low of 62 degrees. And on Tuesday, a high of 81 degrees with a low of 60 degrees. And on Wednesday, ending off, we have 81 degrees for highs and a low of 62 degrees. All right, and all this talk about weather is making me think about what I'm gonna do for Thanksgiving. Victoria and Melenny, back to you.
Coming up after the break, UCF men's soccer won the final against Marshall at the Sun Belt 2025 Men's Soccer Championship.
Plus, UCF prepares to play at the Bounce House for senior night.
UCF Sports is right after this.
We said we'd never give in to a meltdown.
Okay.
We'd never babysit with a screen. We said we'd never let the toys take over.
Mariella!
Never leave the house looking, well, and never let them out of our sight. Skylar, come here. Cars get hot fast, and kids can be at risk. Before you leave the car, always stop, look, lock.
For decades, I've taught you everything I know. How to safely build a fire. How to control the flames. What to do with hot coals. How to secure your chains. But I can only teach wildfire prevention. Only you can prevent wildfires.
Happy Friday nights. My name is Stephen Brown, and I'm here to give you the latest on UCF sports. The UCF men's soccer team made program history by winning the Sun Belt Conference Championship for the first time ever. Charge on Air reporter Camila Escobar shows us how the Knights brought home the title.
What started as an underdog story turned into a Cinderella run as UCF's men's soccer upset the number 3 seeded Marshall Thundering Herd. UCF men's soccer won 3-1 in the Sun Belt Conference Final, automatically qualifying them for the NCAA tournament. This game had many season-defining moments from players like Lillian Ricole with a brace and Juan V. Munoz with 7 saves. Head coach Scott Calabrese says that the evolving team chemistry throughout the season is ultimately what led to the win.
Now that just they know where to pass the ball, where the other one's going to run. Like they don't even have to, say it. They know what's going to happen. And that chemistry is why we were able to break Marshall.
And with a team full of fresh faces, it took a while for the Knights to blend together and play as one. I'm outside the UCF soccer complex where the men's soccer team has spent the season building that championship chemistry. And after winning the Sun Belt, they have locked in their 10th appearance in the NCAA tournament. Calabrese says the team used the match against Marshall as a lesson, calling them the opponent they respected most all year. And when the Knights entered the tournament as a 5th seed, they knew every match could have been their last. Forward Clarence Aguador says the win against Georgia Southern in the first round is what transformed the team's mindset.
The game against Georgia Southern was a big
turnover, like that changed everything. And I felt like the mentality after that game, like, were completely different. We had like confidence. We're all together, and I feel like that's what did the difference today and during all those 3 games.
And as their NCAA tournament journey continues, the team says this season's growth has laid the foundation for what comes next. In Orlando, Camila Escobar, The Charge on Air.
The Knights continued their historic season with a 3-2 win last night against FAU. UCF will travel to Washington, D.C. to take on Georgetown November 23rd at 5 p.m. UCF football will be honoring its seniors in the final home game of the season tomorrow at 4 p.m. The Knights will be losing several key players on the defensive side of the ball. Defensive back Philip Dunham, who set a school record with 3 interceptions in one game, will play in the bounce house one last time. Walking alongside him will be both starting edge rushers for UCF, Nigel Kelly and Malachi Lawrence. Lawrence spent every year of his college career at UCF and hopes to show others that they can too.
I just hope that people showing that I played my hardest out there. You know, I tried my best. So that's really the legacy, and like just showing that you can stay somewhere all 4 years and still have a good career.
The Knights will take on the bottom-ranked team in the Big 12, OK State, in their final home game of the season. That's all the time I have for now. Be sure to tune in next week for another sports update. Back to you, Melenny and Victoria at the desk.
This was the fall semester class of 2025's final show. Thank you for trusting us with your news and being a part of our journey.
For the last time, thanks for joining us. Remember, you can always keep up with us during the week on our website, thechargenews.com. From all of us,
thank you for watching. Have a great day. And as always, go Knights, charge on!